Hello everyone, I am Durga Saujanya, Assistant Professor from Department of ECE, MLR Institute of Technology. I am going to give the video lectures for the subject Embedded System Design. Our today's topic is Laboratory Tools. So this comes under Unit 3. So in the overview of today's session, first we have to discuss about summary of previous session. So in previous session, we have already discussed that what are the laboratory tools used for testing any hardware designed for embedded application. So here some of the hardware tools are the voltmeters, ohm meters, oscilloscopes. So these are the tools we have discussed in the previous session. So now in today's session we are going to discuss about logic analyzers in timing mode, in state mode, so in circuit emulators, software monitors and other monitors. Now going to the present session, here the first one is logic analyzers. So here this tool is same as the oscilloscope, but here it is used for capturing the signals and develop the graphs on its screen. So this logic analyzer is used for capturing the signal and develop the graph based on that captured signal. So it is different from the oscilloscope in ways. So here it may track many signals simultaneously. The oscilloscope will be used for generating or monitoring only two signals or two channels simultaneously But the logic analyzer can track many signals simultaneously. So it will have only two voltages, one is VCC, another one is ground. So if the voltage is in between voltage VCC and ground, it will report it as VCC, or if the voltage is in nearer to the ground, it will display as ground. Here in oscilloscope we have seen that the exact voltage will be indicated by the waveform at that particular point depending on the voltage ranges. But here in logic analyzers there are only two voltage levels are there. So one is VCC and another one is ground. So here we need to give some reference level. So above that reference level any voltage can be treated as or equivalent to the VCC. So like that any voltage below the reference level can be treated as ground level, so that by using only two levels only we can display our waveform in the logic analyzer. So therefore it cannot give the exact voltage, it can give the only estimated voltage only. So these are used for storage devices here, because we have already discussed that the logic analyzers are used for capturing the signals and displaying the waveforms for the signals. So here they capture the signals first and display them later. So therefore these are used as storage devices. So after capturing the signal, that will be stored in the oscilloscope, in logic analyzer, and after that it will be displayed in the graph. So these logic analyzers have much more complex triggering techniques than the oscilloscope. So these logic analyzers will operate in two modes, one is state mode and another one is timing mode. Here this oscilloscope will be used only in the timing mode. So that means any waveform can be represented or any waveform can be displayed with respect to time period only. But here in logic analyzer, so it can be displayed in two modes. One is state mode, another one is timing mode, and it has more complex triggering techniques. But for oscilloscope we have only one trigger signal will be there. So whenever the trigger is applied to the oscilloscope, it will generate the pulse waveform. But here for logic analyzers there are more complex techniques are to be there for generating the trigger signal. And next it is the typical logic analyzer. Here it will have the display screen as same as the oscilloscope. Most logic analyzers present menus on the screen, and it gives a keyboard to enter our choices and mouse and network connections to control from the workstations. So here it consists of, these cables are used for connecting this logic analyzer to the network devices. So that means for providing network connections we are using these buses, and here this is the display of this logic analyzer. And These are the keys which are used for entering the user information through the keyboard. So some logic analyzers will have the mouse capability also. So these logic analyzers includes hard disk and diskettes. As we have already discussed in the previous slide, that the logic analyzers are to be used as storage devices. Therefore, those are used in the hard disk and diskettes. So it can be attached to many signals through ribbons. So here these are called as ribbons or buses. So these are used for connecting the logic analyzers to any other devices. So these can attach to many signals simultaneously. One or more ribbon cables can be attached to the analyzer. So as we have already discussed in the previous slide, that logic analyzers are used for displaying the number of signals simultaneously. It can display here in this example. Here it displays 4 signals. So like that, the number of signals will be displayed in the logic analyzer simultaneously. Therefore, here number of connectors will be used for logic analyzers for displaying the number of waveforms. So the first one is logic analyzers in timing mode. So in timing mode means whenever certain events occurred with respect to time, so those will be displayed in the logic analyzer. Here some situations occurred where if any certain events occurs, so like in barcode scanners, so software ever turns the radio on, we can attach the logic analyzer to the signals that controls the power to the radio. So in barcode scanner or so in barcode scanners, here whenever any triggering signal or any event occurred to the barcode scanner, so then it immediately displays, it immediately connects that event to the logic analyzer. So then it is simply displays the waveforms related to that barcode scanner. So we can measure how long it takes for software to respond. So here in timing mode, this logic analyzer can be used as an alarm or timer, so that it can be easily usable for the logic analyzer to measure the time required for the software to respond. So after connecting to the circuit diagram, how much time it will take to respond by the processor. So it will be displayed in the logic analyzer in this way. So here this alarm, so this will be in the low signal. So whenever the processor responds to the logic analyzer or whenever the instruction is executed on the processor to display some information on the logic analyzer, so then this alarm signal will be goes on. So which is high level. So we can see software puts out appropriate signal patterns to control the hardware. So here we can generate different types of patterns for different types of hardware related signals. So the underground tank monitoring system, which is an example for this logic analyzer, to find out how long it will take for the software to turn off the bell when a push button is pressed on the device. So it is an example for tank monitoring system. So here if the water tank is full, which indicates that whenever the tank is full, then the alarm will be buzzed. So then whenever the alarm is on, so we need to power off the motor, which is indicating that the tank is full. So whenever the bell is rang, whenever the bell is on, so then we need to turn off the motor, then turn off the bell, so which indicates that the water is full in the tank. So in that case, to indicate here, so whenever the tank is full, it is immediately indicated by whenever the tank is full, so then this alarm signal, so until the tank is full, the alarm signal will be in the low level. So when the tank is full, the alarm signal will be going to the high level, so which indicates that the alarm will be on. So then we need to power off the motor and the alarm bell. So this is the working of logic analyzer in timing mode. So while going to the state mode, here the logic analyzer is self-clocked. So that means it captures the image and depending on the captured data, so it will generate the waveforms. So it captures data without any reference to any events on the circuit. So in the state mode, it captures data when some particular event occurs called clock occurs in the system. So whenever the triggering signal is applied to the circuit diagram or the processor, so that means whenever clock is applied to the processor, then it immediately captures the data and it will immediately send to the logic analyzer from the processor. So in this mode, the logic analyzer see what are the instructions executed in the processor and what is the output or result regarding that instruction execution. So here we have seen the memory addresses. So the address locations allocated for that instructions and the data. So the address on which the data is located and what are the instructions so currently executing in that processor, and instructions means here it will display opcodes and the mnemonic of the instruction and the time required to complete the execution. So or the execution time. So these are all will be displayed in the logic analyzer when we have used it in the state mode for our embedded applications. So when we are using the logic analyzer in our embedded applications for digital applications, so we need to indicate so how many number of instructions are to be executed. So that is nothing but the count. Here what are the addresses which are allocated for the instructions or data. So these are the address locations. So this is the data which we have used at that particular address. So and this is the action means this is the instruction. So that is to be done by the processor at that particular time. So at that particular address. So here the time taken for that instruction to be executed. So in this mode the logic analyzer see what the instructions processor fetched and what is the data it should be read from the memory and write to the memory and IO devices. So here the processor can take the data from the memory or IO device. So in the same way the processor can send the data to the memory or IO device. So here this logic analyzer will indicate so what are the instructions presently the microprocessor fetched and executed and what is the data. Here it is data processing will be through IO device or through the memory. So to see what instructions from the microprocessor fetched, so here we need to connect our logical analyzer probes to address and data signals of the system and memory. Here we need to connect our logical analyzer. In the previous slide we have already discussed that the logic analyzer may consist of different number of so many number of ribbons or so many number of buses or connectors are there. So by using these buses or connectors, so one will be connected to the memory and another will be connected to the processor and another will be connected to the IO device. So here whenever any instruction is fetched by the microprocessor, these connectors through the probes, the logic analyzer will get the data from the processor and IO device and from memory. So whenever the RE signal is nothing but read enable signal. So whenever the read enable signal is enabled, so this logic analyzer capture the address and data signals from the memory or IO device. So this captured data is known as trace. So this should be that captured data will be available in the logic analyzer until the RE signal is high only. So the state mode analyzers will display the information in the form of text only. So here as like in the example shown here. So in the timing mode it will display the information in the form of waveform. So in the state mode it will display the information in the form of text mode. So here this state mode is very useful for our embedded engineers as compared with the timing mode, because here this trigger the logic analyzer if the processor never fetch if there is no memory. So if there is no memory and if there is no fetching of instruction, there is no need of triggering the logic analyzer. So if they trigger the logic analyzer, if the processor writes an invalid value to a particular address in ROM. So here, so if these are the exceptional cases which are done by the processor execution. So when in the processor execution, if no instruction is fetched by the memory and if there is no memory usage is required at that particular instruction, and if the processor writes an invalid data at a particular address, or if the processor fetches the instruction which is the address of the interrupt service routine, and if the processor is going into the sleep mode, that means it is not running but the logic analyzer will run overnight also. So these are the exceptional cases, or the bugs or errors occurred during the execution. So in these cases, so the logic analyzer will be triggered to indicate that so some error or some hardware bug will be there in our circuit diagram or in the processor. So we need to check that. So here the logic analyzers have the shortcomings, which indicates that even though the analyzers tell that what the processor can did and what cannot stop, we cannot break the processor if we did wrong. So that means here, once connected to the processor, it cannot stop its process until the completion of the complete execution, and whenever the power is off, then only it will off the execution. So until that, it cannot stop the processor, it cannot break the processor. So by the analyzer, the processor's registers are invisible only when we know the contents of memory in which the processor can read or write. So here the processor registers are invisible only when the contents of the memory can read or write. Here, so when the data which is used by the logic analyzer is connected to the memory, so at that time only the memory related data is only available in the logic analyzer, and the data which is related to the processor registers is to be invisible at that time. So if the processor crashes, so then also we cannot examine anything in the logic analyzer. So we cannot find if the processor executes out of cache. So that means if the cache memory is overlapped or if the cache memory is full, so then also the processor cannot execute the next instruction. So in that case also the program will be crashed and no content or no information will be displayed in the logic analyzer. So most emulators captures the trace like analyzers in the state mode. So most emulators have feature called as overlay memory, one or more blocks of memory inside the emulator. So that means the emulated microprocessor can be used instead of target machine. Here the most emulators can have the facility like overlay memory. So in the case when here we have already discussed that, so if the processor executes out of cache, so that means if the cache memory is full, so then it cannot stop the process and it can utilize the memory from the emulator. So that's why some memory will be stored with some blocks of memory will be having inside the emulator, and whenever the processor cannot get its memory through the cache, so then these emulators memory can be used instead of the target machine. So next one is in-circuit emulators. So in-circuit emulators are nothing but so the emulators which are used in place of the target system. So target system is the hardware system which indicates the original model or the developed or prototype model for the application. But these emulators are nothing but the software model for the target system. Here these are appears as a processor. So here in these in-circuit emulators we need to choose the processor, so which is same as target system but not present in physically. So that means here in the software version of the target machine, by checking the software version of that target machine, so can be done in the form of in-circuit emulators. So the example for this is Proteus. So we have the virtual components are there. So some tools will be used for representing each component. So here the ICs will be represented and the resistors and the capacitors and the sensors and the displays and the power points, just like VCC and ground. So all will be indicated as a virtual tools here. So these are used as a processor and connects all the signals and drives. See, it can perform debugging and we can set breakpoints. After breakpoint hit, we can examine the contents of the memory, registers, source code and resume the execution. Here we have seen in the logic analyzer that if the processor having any problem or any hardware bug is there, so then we need to fix that hardware bug, then only we can check on the target machine. So if the target machine memory is full, it will not be worked out. So to avoid those problems, here we can use the in-circuit emulators. So these in-circuit emulators are nothing but, so we are having the software tools or software versions for the target system, defined target system. So we have to consider, we have to pick all the elements and we have to make the connections in the software. So we have to make connections in the software only, and after that we need to import our developed software program which is tested in the host machine into this processor, and we need to debug the entire circuit in that in-circuit emulator only. So we have the debugging tools for that emulator, in-circuit emulators. By using the debugging tools, we can check the entire circuit. So if the output or the result of the application is not getting properly, so then we can set the breakpoints also. So these breakpoints are used for testing the system from one point to another point. So here we can check, we can set some breakpoints. So in those breakpoints, here it will check from first point to the next point and from second point to the third point. So depending on that, so the result which is occurred between the breakpoints will indicate it where we have the hardware bug or the software bug. So and at each breakpoint, it will indicate the contents of the registers and memory. So therefore, we can easily find out the problem or the error occurred in the which part of the software execution. So these emulators are extremely useful, having the power of debugging, act as logic analyzer. So these are acting as a logic analyzer, but here we have used the software programs only. So the advantages of logic analyzers over emulators are, so logic analyzers will have better trace filters when compared with the emulators, and these logic analyzers will also run in timing mode, but in some in-circuit emulators are not running in the timing mode. Those are running only in the state mode. So those are used to display the text mode only, or the simulation. So those are used to run only in the simulation only. So those are not running in the timing mode. So these logic analyzers will work with any microprocessor. So here, but for the in-circuit emulators, whatever the tools we have imported for that software, so those software processors only used by the in-circuit emulators. But logic analyzers will use the hardware devices. Therefore, any processor can be worked with the logic analyzer. So with the logic analyzer, we can hook up many connections or few connections, but emulators, we must connect all the signals. So here for emulators, after completion of all the circuit connections only, we can check our simulation output. But by the logic analyzers, we can break the connections and we can check with few connections only. So these emulators are most invasive than the logic analyzers. So these are the advantages of logic analyzers over in-circuit emulators. Next one is monitors. So one widely available debugging tool is the monitor. So monitor allows you to run the software on the actual target, giving the debugging interface to that of an in-circuit emulator. Here the monitor is nothing but the software display system. So it is known as the software display system. So the monitors will be used for allowing the software to run on the actual target. So before importing our software into the actual target, so we need to check on these monitors. So monitors are typically working as, so one part of the monitor indicates the small program resides in the ROM. So how to receive the software on the serial port, and how to receive the software across the network, and how to copy the software into the RAM, and how can we run. So these all will be performed in the monitor. So before going into the actual target, so we need to check our hardware and software in the monitor. So another point, another part is which is run on the host side. Here, so before going to the actual target, so it is used as the virtual target, and here we need to give the program and the connections from the host machine to this monitor. So one part of the monitor is connected to the target machine, another part of the monitor is connected to the host machine, so which is used for communicating with the kernel devices, communicating with the kernel part of the operating system, which is used for our embedded application and which is used for connecting through the serial port communication. Here, this monitor which is run on the host side communicates with debugging kernel and provides debugging interface through the serial port. So here we can have different types of modules, we can compile and assemble them by using this monitor. So we can compile and we can test individual modules through this monitor, and after compilation of all the modules we can assemble all the modules and we can give to the target machine. So the program on the host cooperates with debugging kernel to download compiled module into the target system. So instruct the monitor to set the breakpoints to run the system and so on. Here the program which is to be developed on the host system with respect to the kernel. So we need to debug with respect to that particular kernel which is regarding that real-time operating system only. So therefore the functions which is related to that RTOS are instructed to this monitor to develop the required software and hardware related to the applications only. So we can then instruct the monitor to set the breakpoint. So now the disadvantages of this monitor. So here the disadvantages of this monitor is the target hardware must have the communication port. So here we have already discussed that the one part of the monitor will be connected to the target system and we have used the serial port for communicating with the host machine and target machine also. Here for communicating with these monitors, the target system must and should have the capability of having the communication port which is used for communicating with the debugging kernel with our program. So we need to write communication hardware driver to get the monitor working. So here with our application program or software development, so we need to write another program which is called as driver program for communicating with this monitor with the target device. So at some point we have to remove the debugging kernel and try to run the software without it. So for some applications which are not required by the kernel operating system, so if our embedded application is not required the real-time operating system, so then there is no need of kernel functions. So in those cases we need to remove the debugging kernel from the monitor and we need to test our software without having the debugging kernel. So this is removing of this debugging kernel will be somewhat a disadvantage in the monitor. So most of the monitors are incapable of capturing the traces which are done in the logic analyzers and emulators. Here we are not having any facility for any compatibility for capturing the traces. Here once a breakpoint is hit, it will stop the execution which disrupt the real-time applications. So here whenever one breakpoint or any event occurred or any breakpoint hit the monitor, so the entire execution will be stopped. So at real-time applications, it will cause a major damage to the application. So this is the disadvantages of the monitors. So some other monitors we have in our embedded systems are, so two mechanisms are used there to construct the monitors. Here from the normal monitor, here other monitors are nothing but, so till now we have discussed the monitor is known as software monitor. So this is predefined monitor and already available in the market. But here in the other monitors, we need to construct our own monitor. So which is different with the normal monitor and which is used to interact with the target system. So the first target interface, it is through a ROM emulator. So we need to use ROM emulator for constructing this monitor, for downloading the programs, and we need to connect that to the target system, which allows the host program to set the breakpoints through various debugging techniques. Here the ROM emulator will be used as a monitor. So here we have the host machine. So we have the connectors for connecting our program which is developed in the host machine. We are downloading that program through the ROM emulator to the target system. Here we are connecting the same program to the target system. So this is another type of monitor. So the advantages of this purpose is, here the no need of communication port at the target, and there is no mechanism of dependent on the hardware design, and no additional software will be required. So here by using this ROM emulators, here no need of external hardware requirement is not there, and external driver software program will be developed. So that is also not required, and no need of communication port at the target. So here this ROM emulator is simply interfacing the host machine with the target machine. So therefore there is no need of communication port. So these are the topics which are covered in the present session. Here in this session we have covered the summary of previous session. In the previous session we have discussed the laboratory tools like voltmeter, ohm meter and oscilloscope. So in present session we have discussed about the logic analyzers and how can we use logic analyzers in two different modes. One is in timing mode and one is in state mode. So what are the advantages of those modes and what are the applications of those modes, and in circuit emulators and software only monitors and other monitors. Here in circuit emulators are nothing but the software version of the logic analyzers. So logic analyzers will deal directly with the hardware devices. So these in circuit emulators are deal with the software programs. Here the software only monitors are nothing but the monitors which are used for connecting with the target machine to display the output information regarding our application. So here these in circuit emulators, the examples or the applications of in circuit emulators are the just like Proteus for our embedded applications. So these are the topics covered in the present session. Thank you.